Dear learners, welcome to this channel. In this video, we are going to discuss the poem Digging, written by Seamus Heaney. Before going to the poem, let us have a look into the brief bio sketch of the poet Seamus Heaney. Seamus Heaney was born in the year 1939 in Ireland and died on 13th August 2013. He is not only known as a poet, but also known as a playwright and a translator. He was the recipient of the Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1995. He also received the T.S. Eliot Prize in the year 2006. He has many other prestigious awards at his credit, such as E.M. Forster Award 1975, the Golden Wreath of Poetry 2001, etc. His notable works are Death of a Naturalist, North, Fieldwork, The Spirit Level, Beowulf, A New Verse, and many. Now, look at the background of the poem. The poem Digging was published in the year 1966 as a part of his collection of poems Death of a Naturalist. The poem reflects the folk life of Ireland. The poet respects his forefathers, and their work culture as well. We can also observe the changing attitude of the generations in adopting their profession. The prime objective of this video is to make the student to understand the essence of the poem. Apart from this, it also helps to understand the poetic language used in the poem and to develop language comprehension. It even makes to understand the creativity of the poet. Now, let us come to the poem and its explanation. Between my finger and my thumb, the squat pen rests snug as a gun. Under my window, a clean rasping sound when the spade sinks into gravelly ground. My father digging. I look down till his training rum among the flower beds bent low comes up with 20 years away, stooping in rhythm through potato drills where he was digging. The poem opens with the speaker at his desk holding a pen firmly between his fingers and is ready to start writing. Here he compares the pen to a gun. This comparison also expresses the value of a pen, as we all know the saying, pen is mightier than sword. At this moment, as he is about to write, he happened to listen the sounds of his father digging in the flower beds beneath the window of the speaker. This sound brings back his memory many years before. Though he started to dig literature with his pen, the sounds made him to dig his memory. He recalls how his father used to dig with his spade in the potato farm, the spade sinking into the stony ground. He bends low to cut the top of the plants and comes up with potatoes. The car's boot nestled on the lug. The shaft against the inside knee was levered firmly. He rooted out all tops, buried the bright edge deep, to scatter new potatoes that we picked, loving their cool hardness in our hands. By God, the old man could handle a spade just like his old man. Fixing himself firmly in the soil, he used it to scatter the new potatoes, which the family felt the cool hardness in their hands. The poet knows well that his father has the skill to handle the spade like his father. That means the poet's grandfather. These lines shows the love and admiration that the older generations have with nature and the flow of skill from one generation to the further generation. That means the next generation. My grandfather cut more turf in a day than any other man on Toner's bog. Once I carried him milk in a bottle, corked sloppily with paper. He straightened up to drink it, then fell to right away, nicking and slicing neatly, heaving swords over his shoulder, going down and down for the good turf, digging. Now, his memories turned towards his grandfather, how he had worked in the farm. He could cut more turf than any other farmer on Toner's bog. Once the poet carried milk for him in a bottle, corked sloppy with paper. The old man just straightened from his work, drank the milk, and then continued his nicking and slicing. He heaved swords over his shoulders and went down for a good turf. This shows the hard work and the strength of the old generations. The cold smell of potato mold, the squelch and slap of soggy peat, the curt curse of an edge through living roots awaken in my head. But I have no spade to follow men like them. Between my finger and my thumb, the squat pen rests. I'll dig with it. Here, the smell of the potato mold, the sucking sound of walking in the damp land rise a desire in the poet's mind to follow his father and grandfather. But he has no spade in his hand to follow their footsteps. Instead, he has a pen between his finger and his thumb to dig. To dig not the potatoes, but to dig words for ideas. As the potato farmers work for good turf, the poet has to sweat for the apt combination of the words to get good output from his pen.
Now, first of all, coming to the new words, squat. Squat. It means short and thick. Squat, short and thick. Next word, snug. Snug. Snug means firmly, firmly. Next one, rasping, rasping. Rasping means a kind of harsh sound which is unpleasant to hear. Next word, gravelly, gravelly. It means small loose stones of the form which are rough. We can say it's a kind of rough sand. Next word, heaving, heaving, which means lifting a heavy object over shoulder. Lifting a heavy object over shoulder. Next one, turf, turf. That means the surface layer of land on which grass is growing. I repeat, the surface layer of land on which grass grows. And the word curt. Curt. Curt means some kind of rude behavior or which is not polite without any formalities.
Now, let us see what are the poetic devices used in the poem. First of all, we have alliteration. Alliteration, which means repetition of identical initial consonant sounds in successive verse within a group of verse. That means a consonant sound has been repeated in the successive verse. Okay, let us take some of the examples from the poem Digging. In the sentence, when the spade sinks into gravelly ground, we have this alliteration. Spade sinks. We can see here the sound s has been repeated in the successive verse. Spade and sinks. In the same way, the sound g has been repeated in the successive verse gravelly and ground. Such examples, few more, we can see in the poem, such as squelch and slap, curts, etc. We also observe assonance in the poem. That means repetition of vowel sound in the nearby verse. That means the adjacent verse. Let us have some examples from the poem. Man could handle a spade. In this phrase, we can see the vowel sound repeated in the words man, handle, spade. Man and handle, a and a. Okay, next example, cold smell of potato mold. Cold smell of potato mold. In this sentence, we can see O sound has been repeated. Cold, potato, and mold. Very particularly, cold and potato. And we can also see the repetition of the vowel O in the words cold, of, potato, and mold. But we talk about only vowel sound and not vowel. So here in the word cold and potato, we can see the repetition of the sound O. We can also see the repetition of consonant sound in successive words at any place, most of the times at the end of the verse, what we call it as consonants in the poem Digging. For example, nicking and slicing neatly. In this phrase, we can see the repetition of ing. We pronounce it as ing, nicking and slicing. This is an example for consonants. So we can see such poetic devices used in the poem Digging. These are the basic concepts that we find in the poem Digging, written by Seamus Heaney, a poem of three generations. Thank you for watching.